Hi, hello, namaste. Welcome back to Shikara Academy. Today we are here with one more very interesting yet very important topic. See, have you ever wondered why suddenly everyone is talking about the Arctic, the Pacific, and India going global with its navy? Like, what is happening? Why is India getting access to regions thousands of kilometers away? Regions where even big powers hesitate to move? Did India sign something big? Is this about defense or strategy? Or is it about Russia? Or is it about rising Chinese influence? What exactly is going on behind this? Which is nothing but today we are going to talk about the RELOS Pact. Yes, we are here to talk about the RELOS Pact. Now, what is this Railroad Pact? What is this? Just think about it. A single agreement, and suddenly India's navy can enter Russian ports across the Arctic. A single agreement, and suddenly the Indian Air Force can get refueling and maintenance in Russia's first far east. Okay, something big is definitely happening, right? So let us know about this more. Before we go deeper into this interesting story, hello everyone. I am Vasanta Ramawat and I'm working with Shikara Academy. As an educator, I teach economy and current affairs for you, and I've been in this field for about 2 years now. I've cleared couple of exams, so trust me, you're in this right place and you're in safer hands. Let us come back to this burning topic which is Relos agreement. So let's begin with the basic question. Why is this in news right now? Okay. Why is this in news right now? Russia has officially approved the draft of Relos agreement. This is a major defense logistics pact with India. They did not announce it casually. It was approved by Russian Council of Ministers. This means Russia is ready, India is ready, and most likely this will be signed during the upcoming India Russia summit. Why is everyone excited about this? Because through the agreement, India gets access to some extremely strategic places. Places like the Arctic, the Russian Far East, and even some Pacific regions. So, this is not just a small MOU, this is literally India expanding its military reach across continents. Let me also tell you about this. So here to point to be noted is this is approved by Russia's Council of Ministers, and this will be expected to be signed during India Russia summit. And the third point here is for the both nations to use here military facilities to for smoother operations. And yes, by this we'll come to know like what is relos now. Now we have understood something is happening, but what is relos now? Now let's understand it very simply. What exactly is RELOS? RELOS stand for reciprocal. Let me write it here. Reciprocal exchange, reciprocal exchange of logistic support. This is very important term to be noted. Reciprocal exchange of logistic support, meaning India and Russia can now use each other's military bases, not just walking inside, but full support, refueling, resupply, repairs, maintenance, docking, everything. Imagine the Indian Navy sailing near the Arctic, and instead of returning thousands of kilometers back to India for fuel, our ships can simply refuel at a Russian Arctic port, and that's the power of this pact, which is RELOS. It also helps during joint exercises, disaster relief operations, emergency missions. Basically, it makes India's military movement smoother and faster, which is why reciprocal exchange of logistic support is very important as a strategic thing, and it also enhances coordination during the disaster response operations and for the military exercises. So we can feel this as a vital for India's large inventory of Russian origin defense platforms, which is why I call it strategically significant. See, why is this a big deal for India now? First, of course, the Arctic access. The Arctic axis is first, and then um, the Arctic is becoming a major strategic hotspot. Countries are fighting for influence there. So, with RELOS, with this pact, India gets an entry point. And second, of course, India gets access to Russian Far East. So what is this? This aligns with India's Act for East policy. We already have strong connections with Vladivostok now. Our navy and air force can operate there. So, and third is we can actually the India's presence in Pacific Ocean matters a lot. Pacific Ocean strengthens. The India's presence in this Pacific Ocean strengthens. This complements our Indo-Pacific strategy and balances the Chinese influence. So that is a bigger point. And what is the fourth one? What is the fourth reason for this? Another one is, of course, Russian origin. Let me clarify this for you. So, most of India's defense equipment is Russian origin. So, maintenance abroad becomes easier. Upgrades, repairs, spare parts, everything becomes smoother. And finally, this pact fits perfectly into India's multi alignment strategy. We have LEMVOA, okay, with the this is one kind of agreement with we have this multi alignment agreement with US, agreements with France, agreements with Australia, agreements with Japan, and now RELOS with Russia. This gives an Eurasian dimension for us to work forward with this all reinforcement. And yes, what like how do we see this RELOS in India's logistic network? So when we see India's larger defense network, RELOS adds something very unique. Our agreement with US gives access to Indo-Pacific bases. Our agreements with France and Australia help in the Indian Ocean. But RELOS is the only agreement that gives India access to what? Arctic ports. And which is why this is important. Which is why this is important. Arctic ports and Russian Far East bases. That is a massive strategic advantage that we are getting by this. It also supports future connectivity projects like Vladivostok Chennai Maritime. If you see from here to here, Vladivostok Chennai Maritime Corridor, and during joint exercises like Indra, interoperability becomes much easier, which is very much easier. And this is why we have to come to a conclusion ki this is strategically very important. See, a coin has two sides, same as this thing. We do have challenges and we do have some implications for this. Of course, every agreement comes with challenges, yes or no. First, the Arctic is extremely harsh. Operations there are costly, operations there are risky and require that advanced logistics to work. And second, agreement will be watched closely by Western countries. This is what to be noted on. Western countries will have a look, will have an eye on us. So this will be watched closely by Western countries because Russia is already under sanctions. India must balance its ties smartly. And yes, we have another thing called Russia's internal stability is very crucial. If Russia faces some economic or political turbulence, access to these bases could get affected. So we can't blindly be dependent on that. And finally, India must avoid that overstretching its forces. Expanding presence is good, but it should be suitable and should be sustainable for us. Still, despite all this, RELOS gives India something very rare. That is what? Global reach, a global stance, and strategic autonomy, and yes, enhanced in a very enhanced way. So I would say now just think about it for a moment. Think about just for a moment. A country that once struggled to secure its own neighborhood is now getting access to the Arctic, Pacific, Russian, Far East, places where only superpowers used to operate. A country that once waited for others to help in logistics now signs agreements that make other countries open their military bases for us. This is not just a pact, this is India quietly telling the world we are not limited anymore. RELOS is not about fuel or supplies, it's about confidence, it's about our capability, it's about our global presence. India is building a network across the continents from America to France, Australia to Japan, and now deep into Russia's Arctic region. And see, students, remember this: great powers do not rise overnight. They rise agreement by agreement, partnership by partnership, just that step by step procedure, just like this one. So, the next time you hear someone say India is becoming a global power, just smile and say, yes, and RELOS is one more step in that journey. Thank you so much for listening to this. This is Vasanta from Shikara Academy signing off. I'll meet you in the next class with another major current affairs topic. Until then, stay curious, stay sharp, and keep learning. And happy learning, guys. Thank you. Have a good day.